Okay, today I feel like this is a little bit of a lazy one today because it's all about repurposing. And I say lazy, but it's not really lazy, it's being smart because lots of the big creators, big marketers, they reuse stuff again and again because of how little people see your stuff potentially. So I want us to look at how we can repurpose something that's already worked fairly well for us previously. We're going to repurpose that idea into a new format. So what I would love everybody to do, seeing as it's like the first week of May, I would love for you to look into your insights for April and just take note or spot what your best performing piece of content is, your best performing piece of content. And that might be that it's reached the most people, or it might be that it's engaged the most people. They tend to be the two metrics that we look at, whether it's reached a lot of people, whether it's engaged a lot of people. And your Instagram insights can tell you that. So we will look into those. And then when you have that piece of content, you're like, oh, okay, people liked this, or lots of people saw this. This is good. I want us to think about how we can reuse it, but in a different format. So if it was a video, how can we essentially use the same message, the same words, what we're saying in that post, but maybe we share it as an image or a feed post or a graphic this time. Not really changing too much of the wording, but we're purely changing the format so that we can reshare it, saying the same thing, but it might hit slightly differently. It might appeal to different people when it's in a different format, okay? You might find that actually one of your photo posts did really well, like engaged lots of people. So we're going to think about how we can change that from like a photo post into a video post. Still keeping the same, the same idea, the same messaging, the same caption even, the same hook potentially, but just tweaking the format so that we can reuse it and get the most out of that idea. Because if it sort of resonated with some people last month, or it worked somehow last time, it's likely that it's going to work again, but we just need to we're just going to change the format to see what difference that makes. It also means we don't have to come up with a whole brand new idea completely from scratch. We can just sort of piggyback off of what we already know works, okay? So what I would love you to do is to go into your Instagram insights and see if you can find a post that we can use to do this today. It might be a reel, it might be a feed post. It's unlikely to be a story. It will be a reel or a feed post. And I want you to look at the format that it's in and go, right, what can I swap it to? What could I change that to? So I'm going to look the last 30 days. And then there's this section here that says content you've shared. So if you click on see all, I mean, mine by default shows me it in order of reach. So the one that reached the most people is at the top, and then it goes down. So I can see, right, this reel here that I shared in the last month, this one reached the most people. Is there going to be a way that I could reshare that? Now, that was a bit of a silly trending one. So I don't know that that's going to be the best one for me to kind of reuse. I'm not going to be able to repurpose that because it was like a lip syncy one. So what I'm going to do, and you might want to do this as well, is there's these little filters here where you could change how it shows your content. So if you click the filter and change it from accounts reached to accounts engaged, and then apply, it will show you your most engaged posts. And this is probably going to be a little bit more relevant. So you can see the ones that people have commented, shared, and liked the most. So for me, this one here, which was kind of like an introductory post, did the best for me. So this is the one that I'm going to reuse and just take a part of that and turn it into a video instead. So you might find that you have one that's maybe a bit of an introductory post, or it's like a roundup of your best products, or, you know, go from the data, go from what your numbers say. But I'm going to take this one, I'm going to take the same hook and turn it into a video instead. Just put it as text over the top of, you know, one of my clips that I take to try and, you know, the message is exactly the same, but the format is just changing. And I say I'm going to do it. I have already done it because it didn't take me that long at all. So I can show you. I can show you what I've done instead. So I've taken that same hook. It's exactly the same wording that was on the hook on front of the photograph, and I've just copied it on here and I've put it over a video clip. So if yours was a photo and you want to change it to a video, that's an easy way to do it. And you could even keep the caption the same if it's still relevant. You know, the caption underneath, if it still makes sense too, you can keep that.
Lorna, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So my two that have come up, so my reached one was the one where we did the real I am a, but also that one. But then if I look at engage, it was my February, I went back a little bit further because I haven't got as many posts. So I did February's roundup when we did that one. That was my most engaged one. So they're both reels. So what would you recommend changing them both into? Because obviously they're both.
A February roundup one, you could very easily change that and do an April roundup, seeing as we're now first week of May. So you could take maybe a couple of photographs and do a carousel where you just put like some highlights from May as text at the top.
Okay.
That would be reusing the idea, but kind of making it for April rather than February.
Yeah. Okay.
And the same for the I am one. You could do a carousel of images and just have one thing on each image. It's like I am a, and then it swipes through and it says the next one, and it swipes through and says the next one.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, good. Nice to see that our reels are working for you. That's great.